First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for making some time for this. Because it's Women's History Month, we wanted to just have a conversation with women who are impacting and inspiring the community, and y'all were nominated. So shout out to y'all and thank you so much. So just as a reminder, we are recording this for promotional purposes, just because we want to share the wealth and knowledge and honestly inspire other humans. So here's how it's going to go down. I'm going to introduce Genesis, who is a 7th grader at Walsh, who is going to be asking y'all questions. And for each question, we ask that you both respond. So Anna, if you can respond first, Tiffany, if you can respond after, and then we'll go on to the next question. And yeah, if nobody has any questions, I'm going to pass it on to Genesis.
Hi, I'm Genesis. I'm a 7th grader, and I also want to thank you guys for taking some time out of your day and letting me interview you. And yeah. Okay, so what is your name and job title?
My name is Anna Cross. My job title is Executive Director of the Metro West Nonprofit Network. And currently I'm also the co-coordinator of the emergency food and toiletry line for Framingham.
And my name is Tiffany Lilly, and I'm the Director for Community Resource Development with Framingham Public Schools.
Okay. And how long have you worked in Framingham?
So I have worked in Framingham in a variety of ways for probably 30 years. In the school district and nonprofits and all kinds of places where I can make trouble.
I have worked in Framingham a little bit on and off. I had a stint in Cambridge, but for about 8 years. And with the school department, 5.
What is your favorite go-to snack during a work day?
So my first answer to this was, what? We get to snack during the workday? Who knew? So I would say there's this bag of chocolate chips in the pantry that I occasionally break into when I'm really stressed out. So that's chocolate's my go-to.
I laughed immediately because I was just eating them. I'm on the keto diet, so they're like these like glazed pecans that taste like cinnamon, and they're delicious. And so periodically, or sugar-free Reese's, also a chocolate lover.
That does sound really good.
Right?
What is one lesson you learned that got you where you are today?
So lots of lessons learned over the course of 60 years basically, which freaks me out when I say that. But I think the primary lessons have been around relationships matter, and telling the truth matters, and that staying true to who you are and what you believe in and what you're passionate about is important, because you're inevitably going to run into fire somewhere along the way. And so if you're not really clear on that, your toes get burned really quickly. So I think those are lessons that I carry in all the work I do. Mm-hmm. And I think also, trying to remember that we're all trying to do our best every day.
Yeah, no, you took all the good ones. Okay, I think relationships for sure. Like I feel like personally and professionally, relationships, I mean, it's critical, I think, and having like that social capital is really huge. Like the ability to call someone up and have that working relationship, I think is really helpful. And I think for me, just humility, I feel like it's really hard to do work for other people, right? And in this field of human services and education, we're always working for other people, and at the end of the day, it's for students. And so to Anna's point, like I know I try to know at the core who I am and what I believe in, right, as best as I can. And at any moment, I'm willing to fight for it. But I also need to know when I'm wrong or when I'm not right or when I don't know the answers. And maybe I have my answer and someone else may have their answer. And maybe we're both right. And I think that it's really easy to kind of get caught up in your passion and in things that you're excited about. But it's just as important to like take a step back and listen and just be humble in this work. And yeah, so I think that for me is really, really important.
Yeah, all of those things are really important, I think, also in life. You have to remember those things. And I think that's just really important. What is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
So for me, not every hill is worth dying on. I think you have to sort of pick your battles. But I think also once you do pick your battle, you have to be in it and you have to be ready to take it to the end. And I think in my younger self, I would be, I think basically what I sent to you guys before, which was like, you make a choice. You have the choice of how you're going to show up every day. And nobody gets to decide that for you. So I think there are a lot of times when, as a younger person, we're caught up in worrying about things that either we have no control over or we can actually make a choice to do something different. And I think those are really important lessons to be able to, retrospectively, it's a lot easier to do when you're in it. But I think being able to just, it's a short life in a lot of ways. And so I think there are a lot of times when you have to sort of say to yourself, is this really what I want to spend my next 5 minutes worrying about? And if not, like, go on to something else that's going to make you happier and feel a little bit more joy. I think the other thing that's really, for me, has always been important is I like to surround myself with positive people who are energetic and who are problem solvers. And we have fun doing that work. And I think you can't keep a life going unless you sort of enjoy what you're doing and you find some reason to laugh about something every day. So if I were talking to my younger self, I'd sort of say, keep laughing.
I feel like I'm still learning the one that Anna shared first. You don't need to die on every hill. I feel like that's one that I'm living live. And I also think, if I was to give myself feedback to my younger self is really take the time to listen first. I think that I'm really passionate and I get really excited about things and I have lots of opinions. And I think in a lot of spaces that does really well for me. And when I was young, I feel like I was really rewarded for that skill set. And I think sometimes like you get ahead of yourself and just taking a moment to pause and like remembering why and who you do this for. So even, no matter what position I get to, like I still want to be at a space where I can like go meet with students and go check in with students and see programming and be present because it keeps me grounded in this work. And I think like trying to be like, okay, can stay grounded and find different ways to stay grounded because it's really easy to like shift. And so I think that there's different strategies to do that. But I think for me, it's just trying to figure out keeping that present in my mind. Like today I was like, I haven't been to programming this week, and I want to make sure I always pop in. So I'm like, I'm going to make the point tomorrow and do that because it's important for me to check myself on those things. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question perfectly, but I think that that's a whole bunch of pieces around the things that I would have told myself a year ago, a month ago, and 10 years ago.
Right. I think that's probably the other piece of it, right? Our younger selves are just like the day before. So we're constantly telling ourselves these stories. It's not just the story I would have told myself when I was 10. It's the story I would have told myself like last week. And I think that's part of it is, it's a constant journey.
Those are really good answers. I actually don't know what the one about on a hill means that Anna said, but like I'm 13 and I'm still young, so I have no idea.
There you go. That's a cultural reference.
But yeah, I'm still young, so I'll learn one day.
And that's
So-
awesome.
Go ahead.
Who is the woman who motivates you to succeed?
Oh, I have such a long line of people, women particularly. So I'm from kind of a matriarchy. Like every generation of my family has been women mostly, and strong, opinionated, passionate women. So I think I, have taken lessons from all of those people all along. But I would say, the people who motivate me are still the women that surround me now. Tiffany Lilly, Genesis. I think these are all the people who are still part of the circle that, helps us keep moving forward and doing the work we do. I have a daughter, and so I feel like it's my responsibility to sort of transfer that passion and that knowledge to her, and hopefully she'll do the same to the next generation. But I've been really, really lucky in the sense that I've always had women in my life who have been very supportive, willing to challenge me, willing to tell me things I don't want to hear. And I think that that's really important. I mean, some of the people I have in my life I've had for 60 years. And those relationships are really important to me because they're sort of the memory keepers. They're the people you can look at and go, hey, remember when we were 5 and we were doing this thing? And it's like, wow, yeah. So I think, I'm lucky. I've had a lot of really strong women who surrounded me and carried me or pushed me or pulled me my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. I think for me, it's not always about like having a mentor. It's about like all the mentoring moments that, I gather. Like Genesis, just you saying right now, I don't really know what that means. Like that's powerful to me. I'm like, wow, like you're being brave every second. And I just met you, and I feel like, even Kelvin bringing his daughter and seeing her over the summer, and like she's a little baby. And I feel like those are like the moments and the experiences that are inspiring by women of other women. And it's funny because I'm at home and all these frames behind me are all women that inspire me. And I'm in my dining room, so they're eating, but that's like my grandma with like the turkey leg in her mouth. But from my family and the women that have just persevered through really difficult things, right? Whether it's moving to this country, whether it's, like relationship challenges, whether it's, like personal, professional, like we are all people. And sometimes it's really hard to remember that like we are going to be upset and we're going to laugh. And I'm someone that's known as like an eternal optimist, but I'm very clear about when I'm sad, I'm going to be sad. And if you're upset about it, that's your problem. Like for me, it's more about like living in my truth. And I feel like I've learned that from the women in my family, from the women in my community at work and in just my social networks, but also like famous women, right? Like Michelle Obama and artists like Frida Kahlo and people that are willing to be vulnerable publicly. Like to me, I'm like, that's brave. Like I feel like it's hard enough for me to be brave sometimes within my own circles, but for women that have like a mega platform, to be vulnerable and brave, I think is really powerful. So for me, it's definitely a collection of experiences and moments of like, I'm sad and I see a person in the bathroom and they're like, are you okay? I'm like, that's fearless to me, because it's easy to ignore things. It's very easy to be like, oof, this is awkward. I'm just going to keep on going and pretend I didn't see that. And I feel like 9 out of 10 times I have not had that experience in my life. I've had women that will be like, are you okay? What do you need? How can I be helpful? Let me tell you something funny, even if it makes you smile for a second. And I'm like, that works, So I would say that's
That's really nice. And I know we just met, but you guys are actually motivating me to succeed. Like just us talking, you guys are motivating me to succeed. So last question, how does youth empowerment connect to your job?
So pretty directly, I've spent most of my career in education. And now in the nonprofit work that I'm doing in this network, one of our major sort of goals is to really work on next generation leadership. And I think that's really important. So I make a point to sort of mentor people who are coming up as much as they mentor me, because I feel like that's a two-way street in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, there were a lot of moments over the last couple of years that were pretty difficult. And I think the only thing that sort of kept me semi-grounded was watching the passion and the enthusiasm of the generation behind us and feeling like, okay, we're going to be okay. So I think it's really important for us to create as many opportunities and open as many doors and create as much space for next generation leaders to be able to come to the table and give up our seat so they can sit there. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty fundamental for me in terms of the work I do. And it's always sort of present for me, even from the perspective of advocating for students, even, inside or outside of bureaucracies, I think is really important. So I think youth leadership and youth development is kind of where we need to be in so many ways.
I just want to say I can attest to Anna Cross being an incredible mentor and advocate and all of those things. Not that you need the validation, but I can attest to that firsthand. And yeah, I mean, youth and youth development, youth organizing, it's at the core of like every belief I have and every ounce of energy I put into this work, to be honest. I think that, I started when I was 15 working directly with youth as, a camp counselor and kind of worked in a lot of different positions directly with youth. And I think similar to Anna, I don't get to do that every day anymore, but it is my duty to make sure that those who are working with youth have doors opened for them and have challenges solved, because I remember working with youth and being like, I really need this for supplies. I don't have money for it. Or this person saying I can't talk about this in curriculum or things like that. And I remember being mad that like no one would speak up or say something. And so now I'm like, well, I guess I have to be that person now if I am going to walk the walk. And I try to be, right. And I'm not great at it every day, but I feel like that's why I do it, because at the end of the day, I think of someone like you, Genesis, who's in our programs and at the core of everything I do. And same with you, Kyra and Kelvin, like, it's not just an age thing. I think of it as more of like really like everyone younger than me and everyone older than me. Like it's at the core of why I do this work, because there are times when we need to open doors for people that have been locked for too long, or the key is hiding. And we're like, why are you holding this key? And it's really important for us to like take on those challenges and do it as a collective, because like Genesis, if we want to advocate for something, I'm going to need you to come with me maybe to talk to Dr. Tremblay, and we're going to do it together, because it can't just be me, So I see it at the core of what I do and aligned like, side by side with the work that I do.
My whole heart. Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Look, same, Genesis, same.
Thank you.
I really
thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's always great. And again, apologies for being like the one who remember. But no, I think I just want to, I think these moments are really important. So I really thank you for giving us the opportunity, for me especially. It circles me back to kind of where I started, and watching all of you come up the ranks is so encouraging. So keep coming.
I'm beyond humbled to be considered, so thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to interview y'all. I actually really enjoyed this. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. But
Anytime, Genesis.
Anytime.
Wow.
Yeah, everything was awesome. So I know something that like I love seeing was, Anna explained how, you had to choose your battles and the illustration with the hills. Tiff is going through that. So she was inspired by you, Anna, right? And now we have Tiff and Anna being inspiring Genesis, right? But also Genesis, you were brave and courageous during this interview. That my little daughter, I want her to do the same thing you did when she's in 7th grade. So Genesis, thank you so much. You're inspiring all of us, and we're so happy with everything.
My whole heart. That's all I can say. My whole heart is full.
Happy Women's History Month.
Yes. Oh, my heart. Thank y'all again, and I hope y'all have a wonderful
Thank you.
day.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.